In this video, we're going to take a look at activity 3.1.3, basic inputs programming, looking at part 5, going to be utilizing the line follower and working with some programming on how to use that device. So right now you're going to see the part 4 program is still up on our screen. So just to kind of prepare, I'm going to go to File, Save As. We're going to go ahead and save this in our file location and rename to part 5 and hit Save. And then go ahead and change some of our settings here. This one here, we're going to go ahead and say we're using the infrared line follower. And we can go ahead and get rid of some of the pseudocode. We're probably going to have to write some new pseudocode, and we can get rid of some of the programming from the last section. So here is our testbed template ready to go, or our part 5 file ready to go. So let's take a look at what they're going to have us do. So right now it says we need to set the line follower threshold. So thresholds allow your robot to make decisions via a Boolean comparison, and they want us to calculate using the sensor debug window. So right now with no code in there, we're going to want to make sure to have our debug window. They want us to make sure it's set to continuous, and they want us to watch what our line follower values are going to be. So for example, they want us to place a white object within about 1/4 of an inch or an 1/8 of an inch in front of the line follower sensor and record the value that we probably have there. And then they want us to place a dark object within the same distance and have it be recorded as well. So we want to have the values, add them together, and divide by 2, and that's going to be the result for our threshold. So let's go ahead and take a look at robot C. We'll download the robot. So since this has got a blank code in it, we're just going to be able to use it to get the values. We're going to pay attention under the sensors. We're going to want to look at the line follower. So right now they say find a light object. So here I've got a white object here. We want it to be about 1/4 of an inch away. And the values I'm seeing are at about 2500 for a light object. For a dark object, we'll put it in front of there, about the same distance. And here we're seeing probably about 2200, I would say. So we're going to kind of round off a little bit. So 2200 plus 2500, and then we divide by 2, which is going to set our threshold at about 2350. So that would go through and help us with writing some of the programming. So we'll keep in mind 2350 for later, but here's what we end up having. It says we're going to set our servo motor until we see light, and then set servo and wait for 2 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this code. We'll copy it. Go into our, let me go ahead and close our debug window. Take that into the pseudocode section. Or, sorry, we're going to undo, and then we're going to go ahead and set that into our program section, and we can write our pseudocode from it. So we'll go ahead and say set servo motor to position 127 until the light sensor reads 1425, or I'm sorry, the line follower. And then we say set servo motor to position -127, and then wait 2 seconds, which means it'll probably return back to its positioning. Okay, so we're going to see that same kind of thing. Let's go ahead and we can grab our comment section. Let's compile. Let's download the robot. and let's hit the start button. So there's our code. Let's see if we can get a dark object. And we might have to make sure it's a little closer. So once that reads at 1425, then they want us to go through. You notice it stopped our program. So when I hit start, again, it's set at, the servo is set at 127. You can see how close that indicator bar is. Once I get it below 1425 on the line follower, it goes down to that position for 2 seconds, and then it come back up to 0, which is its home position as it stopped the program. So as we take a look at the rest, now they want us to modify the program to have it move the servo to position 127 until we get a dark object being detected, and then move the servo to position -127. Doesn't really say that we need a wait statement or wait as long as what we have, but this may be where we start to, when we look at our dark object, remember we had a value of 2350. So we'll see with our threshold what we get there, and we'll change it in our comments. Okay. Then set servo to -127. I can actually take out the wait statement in there, and I'll take it out of the pseudocode as well. So they'll wait a couple seconds. So now let's see what happens when we compile and download the program. So we'll hit start. It moves to -1 or to +127. Once I put a dark object here in front of it, then it moves to -127, and then now it doesn't move back to its home position because that was the last command that we had, so it set it back down to -127. If I hit the start button again, it moves back up till it reads a dark object. Again, there's our value set, and everything's good. So reading that dark object to make that happen. All right, this finishes up activity 313, basic inputs programming part 5. In the next video, we'll take a look at the last section, so part 6, which is going to be utilizing should be the ultrasonic rangefinder, so, or also known as the sonar device. So here we'll take a look at that and look at finishing up activity 313 in its entirety.